Minimum viable goals are the key to achieving big goals. If you really think about it, when you think of these huge goals, all they really are a bunch of small little goals that make up the big goal. Sometimes when we set goals for ourselves, we can be overwhelmed by how big or like how grand they seem and how far out of reach they seem. But it's because we're looking at them wrong. You see, this morning I went on, let's say, like a 4 mile run, okay? I didn't start the day with that goal in mind of running 4 miles, but I just kind of ended up doing it. And it made me wonder, like, how that's possible. Because if I woke up this morning with the goal of running 4 miles, I probably would have faced a lot more resistance towards doing it. If I set the goal the day before to run 4 miles, I probably also would have faced a lot more resistance towards doing it, and maybe I might have put it off when I first got up if I was feeling really bad, or like I was super tired after waking up from my 5:30 alarm. But it honestly felt like easy to do, and that's kind of weird, right? Like, how can these big goals, not saying that running 4 miles is a huge goal, but it's just to illustrate a point. How can these like big actions seem effortless? Or how can you make them feel easier? Because just working hard to work hard isn't necessarily the goal, right? It's the goal of any endeavor is to make it so that all your energy and focus actually produces a tangible output and something that's valuable, or like improves your life or something, right? But that doesn't necessarily directly correlate with you having to suffer immensely in the pursuit of that thing. So, anyways, how can you make a goal like running 4 miles in the morning something that feels easier? And it's by creating a minimum viable goal. And what that basically means is recognizing that these big goals are basically just a bunch of other small, tiny little actions. Like running 4 miles is the end action, it's like the last step in the chain of all these other micro little actions that happen before it. So you don't just magically achieve running 4 miles. It's kind of like, for running, it's kind of simple to visualize because all you're doing is taking one step in front of the other at a slightly moderately fast pace. So you're not walking, you're running, but literally running is just putting one's foot in front of the other for like a long time. But the thing is, putting one foot in front of the other isn't a hard action. These big goals only seem hard, and they are hard because they take a lot of little tiny small efforts, and those little tiny small efforts, they kind of stack up. Obviously, all those little tiny efforts require a certain level of energy from you. So if you do a lot of them, it's gonna feel really hard. And that's the thing, when we think about these big goals, we think about all the effort that needs to be put into achieving that goal. And sometimes it's overwhelming. But if you realize that doing anything is better than doing nothing, you would start by breaking that big goal down into the smallest possible fragments. So for running, if that was my goal, then, and if the goal was like running in the morning, let's break it down to that. Okay, first I have to take a lot of steps, but before I take a lot of steps, I mean, I obviously have to put my shoes on, but like before I put my shoes on, I have to get dressed. But before I get dressed, I have to um, maybe go to the bathroom and brush my teeth. But before I brush my teeth, I have to maybe like drink a glass of water, and like before I drink a glass of water and hydrate before I go out on a run, I have to wake up. Or actually, really before that, I have to turn off my alarm. And before I turn off my alarm, I have to get out of bed because I put my phone across the room in a position where I have to force myself out of bed to turn off the alarm. So when you think about a goal like that and you realize it's just a bunch of these tiny little small micro actions, all you have to do is focus on the first step. And you know, people tell you this all the time, and it's not a concept you probably haven't heard of before, but it's like once you break it down like this, it's so simple. So basically, when I'm tracking my own habits and my goals, I don't actually track running as a habit. I track turning off my alarm as a habit. And if you really want to get in depth, you could add like the next 3 habits after that one, and then add the core habits that lead into the action you want to do. And for running, it would be like putting on your shoes and then going outside. But making those things your goal instead of the actual run makes it so much easier subconsciously, even though you know consciously like nothing really changes. It kind of like gives you this weird sense of momentum and energy, because like consciously you're telling yourself, okay, all I need to do is get up and turn off this alarm. But after I turn off this alarm, I'll probably have to go to the bathroom, so I'll go do that, and I'll also drink a glass of water before that. And that's all I have to do to like win the day, or like win the habit. And like after that, I mean, I'm just gonna brush my teeth, right? And like from right there, from that waking up point, you set an alarm as a trigger or a cue for the next habit that you want to start, for whatever it is you want to work on. And it can literally apply to any single skill or any activity that you're doing. For running specifically, it would be like setting an alarm to get dressed and then setting an alarm to put on my shoes. And like it makes it almost foolproof. And it makes it almost automatic. For just today and yesterday, I didn't actually follow the alarms because I was working on something else, so which was trading. So I didn't really follow that exactly, but it helps on the days where you're feeling like shit. So you should try to apply it to your own goals and see how it turns out. Minimum viable goals. People already say this, but nobody's probably explained it like this.